Yes, the next topic that we'll be looking into will be qualifiers. So what are qualifiers? Let us look. So these are the types of qualifiers. Qualifiers means if we have an integer or if we have a character, you can qualify it to be another kind, like a constant integer, a signed integer, an unsigned integer, like that, a volatile integer. You can qualify that integer into another position. You can qualify it to be a constant, you can qualify it to be a volatile, you can qualify it to be a signed or unsigned. Size qualifiers are also there. So let's see. So the type of qualifiers is size qualifier, sign qualifier, and type qualifier. So size qualifier means normally an integer will be 4 bytes. So if you qualify it to be a long integer, then it is going to be increased by 2 bytes. So total it will have 6 bytes. So long integer will have a storage space of 6 bytes, and a short integer will have a storage space -2. So it will have 4 minus 2, that is 2 bytes. So that is a size qualifier. So in order to save the space, or in order to increase the space, you can use a size qualifier. Okay, next is signed qualifier. So if we have a signed integer, then we can access both positive and negative numbers, and if we have an unsigned integer, then only positive values can be accessed. So for I is equal to 0, for I is equal to 0, I less than -2, I plus plus, if I give then if you give signed int I, in that case, then it can access this negative and positive values. So if it is an unsigned one, only the positive values will be taken. Next is the type qualifier. This is the one we usually use. Type qualifiers are used very often. Like, you can mention an integer to be a constant. No matter what happens in the program, this constant value will not change. You can also give it as a volatile. You can also qualify it as a volatile variable. So volatile int a, then a cannot be predicted. A can change at any point of time. It means a is not a constant. So these are the type of qualifiers. So these topics are very important in an interview point of view, because these are theory part. This is theory part, but this is usually used in application level programming. In a company, when you're working, these things come into play. So when you use these things, your program becomes more efficient. So in that case, in interviews and all, these questions will be very often asked, because once you get into the company, you are given the job. So when you're given the job, these are the things that you should be knowing. So if you know these things, your code is going to be more efficient. So the next thing that you will have to learn is storage classes. This is also very important. Storage class means it defines the life and scope of variables and all the functions in a C program. The life of a variable means the time duration for which it is valid. The scope of the variable means the region till where it is valid, inside which bracket it is valid. So the life and scope of variables is defined by the storage class. There are 4 types of storage classes. Okay, the first storage class that we'll be learning is auto. Auto is the default storage class for all the local variables. That is, if you give int a is equal to 5, or else if you give auto int a is equal to 5, both the meaning is same. It is a default storage class for all the variables. So there is nothing much to know in auto. Okay, so we rarely do we use this keyword auto for a storage class, because by default it means auto itself. So if you look at the program, you can see that it can be auto variables can be accessed only within that bracket. So in this bracket, auto int a is equal to 7. So when it prints a, the value of a will be 7. Inside this bracket, a will be 5. So the output of this one will be 7 and 5. So you can run this in the compiler and you can see the output. So the scope is within that bracket, within that function. Okay, that's it. So the next we'll go to the next storage class. We'll go to the next storage class, that is extern. So extern storage class is used to give a reference of a global variable that is visible to all the program files. If you are declaring a variable as an extern, it can be accessed by another file also. So this is one file here I am giving. Okay, so the name of this file is file 1. You have another file 2, in which you are calling this a. So the value of a there also will be 10 itself. Okay, so extern int a, int main, printf %d a. This is just one program. It means that it can be accessed by another files also. That is the meaning of extern. So here in extern, if I want to you give one of the files like this. You give int count in one of the files, and you extern void write underscore extern. I am giving a function, and in the main function count is equal to 5, write extern. I am calling that function. I am giving a second file in which extern int count I am declaring. I am calling void write extern function. Inside that I am going to print the value of count. Here also the value of count will be 5. Okay, so in the first one, when I call write underscore extern, means you will not understand when I say like this, right? So I will just show you how to write the program. So here we will see how to make use of this extern modifier, extern storage class. Okay, so here how do we do this is you have to create a new project, and inside that project you have to give the different files in which you're going to make use of this extern. So you go to file, you go to new, and you take a project, and here you take console application, and here I am creating a new project. and I'm saving this. Sorry, before that anything. See, actually you have to go to file, new project, you take console application, here you take C project, don't forget that. Okay, then you take new project, same, the same. Okay, this is your main file, and you can have two files, right? In one file you declare the extern variable, and in another file you give its value, and you have to access it in the first file. That is what you have to do. So here this is the default program that comes. So this is the main function. Here you have to write your main program. Okay, extern where you are declaring is here. So here I declare an extern variable. I am declaring extern int a. Okay, and I am going to print it in here. So I am going to print f person. I'm going to print the value of a is but here I have to notice that I haven't given any value for a. So in the next file I'm just going to give int a is equal to 789. Okay, so next I'm going to run this project. Save. Okay, see, when I run this project, it comes the value of A is 789. Even though here the value of A is 789, right? Even though here in this program I haven't given the value of A, it takes the value from here because we declared this A as an extern variable in the first program. Okay, so this is how extern is function. Now let's go to the next storage class. So in the first file we write this program, in the second file you just give int A whatever value you want to give. Then what happens is it will give you the value. When you run this program, it will give you the value here. Okay, the next one is static. So as the name suggests, static. What is the meaning of static? Okay, here if I want to declare a variable as static, I give static int count is equal to 7. So here you just go through these points which I have written here. Okay, you just go through this program. I have declared the static variable here. Yeah, as globally also I have declared one static variable, and inside the main, when I go inside the main, when I go inside the main, just to make it clear for you, yeah, when I am going to this program, let's see how this program is going to run. I have declared a static variable with count value equal to 0 while count value is less than 10. Now it is less than 10, then it goes to this function next. So then it executes this function. A value is equal to 10 and A you are going to increment. So A becomes 11, and here what it is going to come, count and A is going to come. Count is presently 11 and A is presently 10. Again it is going to the main program. Okay, then if count is less than 10, yes, count is less than 10. First it was 7, now it's 8. 9 also it executes. When it comes to 10, what happens is it is not less than 10, so it doesn't enter into this loop. It goes out of this loop. Until 9 it is going to execute. Okay, so how is the output going to come? Initially it is going to come as first the output will be 7 and 11. Next the output will be 8 and 12. Next output will be 9 and 13. Once the output is 10, it is going to come out of this program. This is going to be the output. So here we can see the value of this static variable remains global. It can be accessed inside this one, and here a static variable is given locally also. So the static variables are commonly used in writing C programs. They have a peculiar feature of preserving their value even after they are out of scope. See, actually the scope of this A is inside this only. Even after it comes out of the scope, this A value of A will remain 10 only. Means whatever the value is. So it has a idea of preserving the value. Hence, even after they are out of scope. So they are initialized just once, but they exist till the termination of the program, and no new memory is going to be allocated for this static storage class, because they cannot be redeclared. Okay, by default the value will be 0. So here you just go through this whatever I have written is keep during the lifetime of the program, instead of creating and destroying it. So instead of creating and destroying it each time, what happens is it exists until the end of the program. Okay, that's it. So this is static. Then comes a register. So the register storage class is used to define local variables that should be stored in a register instead of RAM. Usually we store inside the RAM. Okay, so if you do not want to store inside the RAM, you want to access it very easily or in a very quick access, like from counters and all, you need quick access. So in that case we store it inside the register. So in that case you give this register int a or whatever variable name you want. You give this name register in front of it. So hence it automatically stores inside the register. So if there are no registers available, then it uses the RAM. Only if a free register is available, it will be used in a register. Otherwise, as usual, the program is going to run. Okay. So inside a program, there are certain variables that we need to use very frequently. Such kind of variables we store inside this register. Okay. One important thing that needs to be noted is that we cannot obtain the address of a register variable using pointers. Okay, that's it about registers. And next we have just a table. This is auto means automatic, means normal. By default what it is, storage will be inside a stack memory. The initial value will be garbage, and for auto it's normal by default how a variable scope will be there within that block, right? So the life will end at the end of that block. So extern means we declare it as an extern variable. Storage memory is in the data segment, and the initial value for extern and static storage is in the data segment, and the initial value for extern and static, it is going to be 0. Extern will be global and can be accessed in multiple files. Static can be accessed only within that block. So both extern and static is valid till the end of the program, and in extern we can access in another program also. In register we store it in the CPU register. The initial value of a register is going to be garbage. Register is also like automatic auto storage class only. It is within that block, and its validity or life ends at the end of that particular block. Okay, auto and extern is almost the same. Storage, only the storage is different. Extern and static is almost the same, but only difference is for extern we can access in multiple files and it is globally declared. Static we can declare it as a global and also a local variable. Okay, so that is the storage classes. Next we go to preprocessor. So storage class, just remember there are 4 types of storage class: auto, extern, static, register. Auto means automatic by default. What is extern means external, we can access it in the external files. Static means it remains same till the end of the program, the value remains same. We cannot we are not deleting and giving another value, no, nothing like that. It remains the same, static. Okay, register means in order to access it easily, we store inside the register to get the data very frequent. Preprocessor. So preprocessor, there are 3 preprocessors here: file inclusion, macros, and conditional compilation. So preprocessor means, from the name itself we can know that they are programs that process our source code before compilation. Before compilation there are certain pre-processing that happens. Only after pre-processing it goes to compilation. After compilation an object code will be created. Then it goes to the linker and the executable file will be created. So when you look at this flowchart, you can see first you write the source code. Then the C program is going to, when you are going to run this, what happens, first they check are there any preprocessor directives. If there is any preprocessor, then it is going to perform the action and it is going to give the compiler. Next, the compilation is going to happen. If there are no preprocessor directives, it is going to directly go to the compilation process, and then the object code will be created. And anything that happens before compilation is called preprocessor. So all the preprocessing is done before the compilation. Now let's see the types. There are file inclusion, macros, and conditional compilation. 3 types of preprocessors. So file inclusion means you can include a file inside the C program, like hash include sum.h. See, suppose you created a file called sum somewhere else and you want to include that into your present program. So you include it using this file inclusion preprocessor, that is hash include sum.h. So when you run this program, it checks if there is any preprocessor. So here there is a preprocessor. So first it is going to run the sum.h and then it is going to come to this present program. Okay. It can be anything, subtraction, multiplication, any file you want to add to a program, you just include it in the program using hash include program name .h. Macros means before you run the program, they will check hash define if anything is defined, if a value of a variable is defined, if value of p is given some name, some value. If the variable name p is given some value, it will check the value of that particular variable. So we are going to define a as 100. So first, before compilation, a will be given the value 100. So before compilation, for the second one, every p in the program will be replaced with printf hello. So whenever you write p, that means printf hello. Okay, in the last one, if p, instead of I'm going to replace every p in the every printf p in the program will be read as printf. So if you want to print something, you just give p bracket the value of a is so and so. So these are macros. Okay. So the hash define directive is used to define the macros. Okay, next one is conditional compilation. So before the compilation, it is going to check if there is any if, else, end if definition, if not defined, if undefined, anything is there, it will check. Okay, it helps to compile a specific portion of the program or to skip compilation of some specific part of the program based on some condition. So you can include some specific part of the program or you can exclude some specific parts of the program using conditional compilation. This is used if def, end def. Like that, there are two conditional compilation. If something is defined, for example, if def a, if a is defined only, then that is going to run. If it is not defined, it will not run. So okay, that is conditional compilation. So in conditional compilation, if you are going to start an if else statement, after you complete the if else statement, you have to give this hash end if. Okay, if you are going to give if and else if statement, hash if and hash elif is used, and at the end of that, end if should be used. Okay, if def, if not defined, is hash if idef and hash if ndef. And for undefining something, you can give hash undefined. Okay, that's end. So to give you some example of this, I will give for example, I'll just write it here itself so that you can understand. Suppose if def and if not defined, that one I'll just check. So first I am going to give the macro here, hash define a100, okay, and then I am going to the main program and I am giving printf you will give if hash if def. If a is defined, only it goes to this goes inside this bracket, and it is going to print a is defined. Okay. Else what should happen? Else printf a is not defined. This is what will happen. And at the end of this, you're going to give hash you're going to end this statement. And okay, this is how it is going to run. Like I define a macro here. First the macro preprocessor will run. A will be given the value 100, and this conditional compilation will be also checked before compilation process. So if A is defined, then it is going to print. Before compiling the program, A is defined will be printed. Else A is not defined will be printed. And the end you have to give is endif also. Okay, and you can also define this variable like this, and you can do all this, and at the end of this you can do one more thing. If you want to undefine this at end of this, then what you have to do, hash undefine A. So if you give this step, it is going to take the value of 100 out of A, and then if you try to print the value of A, there will be nothing in, there will be some garbage value only. Okay, so this is how a preprocessor is going to work. Sorry, this is how a conditional compilation preprocessor is going to work. So the main things are if, else if, and whenever you start an if, it should always end with end if else statement can also be used, if and else if can also be used. Else if is not ELSEIF, it is just ELIF, and you can check if some variable is defined or not, and you can also undefine something. So this is conditional compilation. So the three preprocessors that we learned is file inclusion, macros, and conditional compilation. And remember that this is done before the compilation process. So we have come to the end of this theory. In the next video we'll be coming with some other topics, linked list, single linked list, double linked list, etc. And at the end of that, it will be the end of C program tutorial, and next we'll be going to embedded systems, etc. So we'll be learn how to build embedded systems in the next playlist. Okay, so let's see you in the next video. Okay.